Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another live. My name is Laken, and I go live every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern to answer any questions that you have about goals, planning, life. And I am so excited to be back. I missed last week. If you weren't here for everything or you have no idea, I was actually moving this day last week from New York City over to Chicago. Me and my husband and our cat Charlie moved across the country. And this is not my beautiful apartment behind me. This is my mom's apartment. They did not get a chance to paint our apartment in between the last tenants and us. So they started today. He is not sure how long it's going to take him to paint the whole thing. But I didn't know what the internet situation was going to be like or what room he was going to be in. So for safe reasons, I just decided to come over and do my live here at my mom's. So this is my mom's beautiful apartment behind me, not mine. Not even close to this settled in our new apartment. But I'm excited to hang out and chat with you today. Let's kick it off with our first question, which is, what are you drinking? If you're here live, let me know in the chat what you are drinking while you're hanging out. And if you are part of the replay fam, thank you for catching the replay. Let us know down in the comments what you are drinking or doing while you are doing the replay. I just have water nearby. I was a little bit frantically trying to get an extension cord into the outlet. And so I just didn't have time to get a tea or coffee or anything. Plus my body, I have been going to bed at 8:30 or 9 here, which makes sense, I guess, but at this point I should be adjusted to the time zone. But I've been going to bed super early and getting up super early, and I kind of want to stick with that. So I'm trying not to have some afternoon caffeine. Shani, good morning. Happy International Women's Day. Yes. Happy International Women's Day to you and all of the amazing women in your life. We've got some iced coffee, Diet Coke, water. Congrats on the move. Thank you, Amy. And Lee, being my guinea pig here, always a reminder, if your name is different than your YouTube name or your Facebook name, the name that you prefer to go by, I would love for you to include your name in parentheses before you ask your question or leave your comment. That way I can always address you by your name. Appreciate all of you hanging out today. This is one of my favorite hours of the week. And to be honest, things were so frantic this week with the painting. I was like, do I push it back or do I change it? And I was like, you know what? No, I need this time. We need this time. I can make it work. And here we are in my mom's apartment making it work. There are all the comments. I was like, well, where the heck are all the comments? After dinner, decaf coffee with chocolate syrup. My key, that sounds so good. Water with an adult Lunchable. Jennifer, that sounds delicious. I will say, normally I would eat lunch before the live when it was at 1 p.m. Eastern. Now that it's at noon my time, I didn't eat lunch before. Might regret that, but need to kind of figure out my new routine with it. Not that I'm in any kind of routine right now. Caramel apple water. Oh, Anna, that sounds so good. Flavored water, gin infused rosé. Ooh, Loretta, you're so fancy. A glass of white wine, root beer, just water today because we're out of the tea. Oh, Jamie, that's a bummer. Monalay, thank you for joining the live. I'm so excited that you're here. Drinking coffee, water, nothing excited. Fruit punch flavored hydrate boost or boost. I'm not sure, Crystal, if you meant to type that. That sounds good. And water with lemon. I love it. All right. We also kick things off with another starting question, which is, what is one small win that you want to share? So what is one small goal related win that you want to celebrate between today and the last time that we talked, or it could be the whole year, whatever it is, since the last time you joined a live? What is one small win that you want to share? I would love for you to share it in the chat if you're here live. And if you're catching the replay, I would love to hear your win in the replay comments as well. Obviously, I always forget to share mine. I immediately jump into reading yours. My win is not a small win, but a big win. And we successfully moved. All of our stuff arrived. It's all good. I mean, it's not even close to being unpacked. And we still have a lot of furniture to buy in our new large apartment, but we moved and we're here. So that's very exciting. So many wedding steps, ordered the photo frames for our favors, booked our wedding venue, and finalized our date. That is so exciting. Oh my gosh, all of you getting married. I feel like this year we have so many people getting married and so many other people moving. 7 days straight of breath work and meditation, your new favorite bedtime routine edition. Tina, that sounds awesome. Tracked all of my expenses every day this month. That is awesome. It can be very tough, but also so beneficial. You mean this week? Well, this week and this month are kind of the same thing. They're pretty much the same. Booked a venue for your mom's celebration of life with all the siblings and your dad on board. That's amazing. Finding a date with all of you was probably the hardest part of that, right? Got your writing portfolio online. Mindy, that's super exciting. Congrats. Been doing your morning routine consistently. And today I got my hubby to join in morning exercise. I love that. Enjoyed your trip to Paris and didn't overspend. So jealous. I want to go to Paris. Ashley, I went to go wild and stayed under budget, which is hard to do, 100% hard to do. So props to you for that. Got an action step rescheduled that was supposed to be last weekend, but decided to relax instead. Hey, rescheduled is still scheduled. Jordan, also not a small win, but got back from my trip to Antarctica. If y'all don't follow Jordan, Jordan, you should leave your handle in the chat. On Instagram, she shared all about her trip and it looked freaking magical. I don't know that I really have any desire to go to Antarctica, especially after seeing the price. I would rather go to Europe like 5 times for that price, but looked amazing. Looked absolutely amazing. And now on your 7th load of laundry. I also brought laundry over here and did it at my mom's today because I just was like, I don't feel like dealing with it. And my mom has like a laundry room in her building that's got like 17 washers and dryers. So it's just fast. Water and help my mother-in-law declutter her dresser. Love that your win was helping someone else, Jennifer. That's so sweet. All right. Thanks for sharing all of your wins. So excited to chat with you today. What questions do you have? They can be about your personal goals. I promise, even if you feel like it is really specific to you and your life, I promise you somebody else is likely also struggling with that and would benefit from the answer to your question. If you have a topic you want to chat about and you don't know how to phrase it into a question, you can always just put topic, whatever the topic is. Any questions that you have, it can be about a video that I shared, and you like have something you want, a follow-up question related to something, whatever y'all want to chat about today. And I had to reschedule my daughter's surgery from January to this Friday due to COVID. And now we are 48 hours without anyone getting sick. Oh my gosh, fingers crossed that everything stays safe and healthy. That's a lot that you're dealing with. Are there books or podcasts to help overcome imposter syndrome? This is a great question, Tina. I off the top of my head, I know that the Fear is My Homeboy book by Judy Holler does have a section on imposter syndrome. I wouldn't say that the whole book is dedicated to that, but I would say that it helps a lot. In terms of podcasts, I cannot think of anything specific. I may have to come back to you on that. I feel like I've listened to an episode. It wasn't like the whole podcast was about it though. Like it was an episode that was about imposter syndrome that was very beneficial, but I can't remember where that came from. Truthfully, I think the best thing in my personal experience to overcome this is action. Is taking action and continuing to work at what you're working on. I know for you, it's your new business. Not new, but newly full-time business. I think that just continuing to take action on it is the best way to not sit and get caught up in the mindset spiral of, am I good enough to be doing this, et cetera, et cetera. But I will keep thinking and see if I can recall anything. And if I can, I'll let you know. Someone else jumping in with the Fear is My Homeboy recommendation. Yeah. I definitely know that one has content about it. Amanda, wow, I'm late. You're not late. You're totally fine. We still have 50 minutes that we will continue to hang out. Lots of time. What other questions? What else do you feel like you're struggling with? You need a pep talk or another brain to think through. Or if you want to ask questions about what we have going on over here, that's fine too. Again, if you missed the intro, not my apartment. This is my mom's apartment. They are currently painting my apartment. So I am not there right now. I am here at my mom's. Next week, we'll likely have a whole different background. Hopefully be back in my own apartment during the live next week. So how is Charlie doing? Charlie is doing great. Y'all, she is the best cat. She is a freaking trooper. in the car, like we've traveled with her in the car, long drives before, and she's just the best. Like I just forgot how great she is. And then getting settled. Obviously, she was a little unsure about what was going on, mostly like with all the space because she has only ever lived. I mean, I got her when she was 4 months old, so I don't know where she was for 4 months before she was mine, but for the last 8 years, 8.5 years, she has only lived in a tiny New York City apartment. So she is a little bit like we have this long hallway, and she like runs down the hallway and has like no idea what to do with all of this space. And she just it's very cute, but she is doing great. She's all settled in. She is it's amazing. She's happy. She's a happy kitty for sure. She's definitely found her new spots of where she likes to hang out during the day. And some of them are the same. Like the bed is still definitely a spot. It helps that the bed is right next to like the bedroom is right next to my office. So when I'm in there, if I'm on a call or whatever, she can hear me talking. But she does also like to hang out in the living room, but it's which is on the complete opposite side of the apartment, but it's very cute. She's doing great. Thank you for checking in on her. River J, topic, giving yourself grace when you don't get everything done that you wanted to. Great topic recommendation. I think there's a couple of things that come to mind. So the first thing is I would ask, sorry, just kicked the bag of chips onto the floor. Ask yourself what happened or what changed that you didn't know before. Like what new information popped up that she sorry, I was reading one of the comments and so I was saying what popped up that you didn't know before that changed your original plan. And it could be something completely out of your control, like a family member needed your help. It could be that you had a tough mental health day. It could be that you physically didn't have as much energy because it was that time of the month, right? There are so many factors that can impact why you didn't get everything done. So I would acknowledge that first, because knowing what impacted it is going to help you. Now, if what is impacting it is possibly that you are just overcommitting, right? So when you in the phrase, everything that you wanted to do, was that realistic to begin with? Or was everything you wanted to do too much and it wasn't going to fit in whatever day, week, month, whatever time frame you're thinking of? And if that's the case, then it's absolutely, there was no way you were going to get it done. Even superhero you wasn't going to get that done. And so the next time it's focused on being a little bit more realistic and how can you be more realistic with it? I think the other big piece of this is acknowledging what you did do. Instead of focusing on what you didn't get done, focus on what you did get done. And so making a list of the things that you did accomplish, a win list, etc., I think can be very helpful in this scenario. And the last thing that I'll say on this topic is, I'm not going to do this quote justice. And I honestly can't remember where I saw it, but it was like, we didn't beat ourselves into success, or you can't beat yourself into success, or something like that. What I'm getting at is you are being hard on yourself is not going to lead you to success, right? You can't be mean to yourself and expect yourself to listen and react in a positive way. Imagine if you were giving that advice or suggestions or, whatever the opposite is of giving yourself grace, right? Being hard on yourself. Imagine if you did that to a loved one. How would they react? Would they be motivated to work harder? Or would they feel more defeated? And consider treating yourself the same way. Hopefully that was helpful. What is one thing so far in your new place that you're loving besides the more space? Besides does the proximity to my family also count? I think I've seen my mom every day since I've been here, y'all. I don't think that's going to be the norm in the long term. But she has been very, very like ridiculously helpful in us getting settled. And so that I have seen her pretty much every day. Not pretty much. No, I've literally seen her every day since we got here. So that is not the actual space. That is just the location of said space. In terms of like the actual space, having separate bathrooms so far, very helpful. I think someday if we live in a place that's big enough where the bathrooms are like it's a big bathroom with like a double sink, etc. Like it won't be that big of a deal. But these are still city-sized bathrooms. They literally have like a sink and a toilet and a shower, like shower bath combo. It's very small. The bathrooms are small. And so it is nice that we have our separate bathrooms, our separate space. Have you decided on a new desk? Yes, I got a new desk. I was using it last night actually during the community call. It's I got it on Amazon. I can link it after this is over. It's very simple. I went very simple with the desk. I still went with an L shape, and maybe I'll likely do an office tour at some point. I know a lot of you have asked if I would do a complete apartment tour. I'm not planning to do that, but I will likely do an office tour once I get everything settled in there. But I went really simple with my desk. But it's beautiful and I really like it. So that's all I've got in the office so far though. It's just the desk, and the room is so big, and the desk is even a little bit smaller than my old desk. And it just looks, it gets swallowed up in that room. I don't know what else I'm going to put in there yet. I have ideas. I just don't want to spend on all of the things I would want to possibly put in that room. Like I have a nice space for this, for a love seat. I would love to get like a hot pink, plan with like a pink love seat for that. And I even have looked at them. I don't want to spend the money on that. So we'll see. Ooh, this is a good question. Do you have tips to get past the learning phase of things? I feel stuck in planning and learning and not taking the step of doing. I know there's a term for it, but I can't think of it. I'm sure there is a term for it. I don't know what it is either. Also, if you hear my mom's cat in the background, she is chatty. She's a chatty kitty. So you might hear her meow in the background. And she especially likes to meow at her brother, who doesn't want anything to do with her. So the biggest thing here, and I definitely read this somewhere in a book, it is a mindset thing where you are never going to know everything you need to know to start. The best learning is while you're working, right? While you're taking action on whatever it is that you feel like you're stuck on. And so you have to put a limit on the learning. And for most of us, we need some sort of limit. I am almost bad the other way, where I immediately jump into action and don't take enough time to learn sometimes. But for a lot of people, it's similar, where they're going to spend too much time learning and not taking action. So you've got to put a limit on the learning. And you can do this in a couple of ways. It could be a time limit, where you're either like, I'm going to spend this many hours on the learning and planning. And then, I don't know why I just put that in quotes, on the learning and planning. And then it's time to take action. Or you put a date on it, right? I'm going to learn and plan until March 15th. Then I'm going to take action. Or it could be the minimum things that I need to know. Like I need to know how to do this, this, and this, and then I'm going to start taking action. Truthfully, that was actually me with the Teachable move that we just did. We just moved the entire community, if you haven't heard, from Patreon over to Teachable. And that's kind of where I was. Now, there was also a time limit on it, but I was like, these are the minimum things you need to know how to function in the new space. The rest of it, you're going to learn as you go, which we've already learned. We had conversations about it last night on our call. We've already learned some things that I need to tweak moving into this new space. But it's those things I would have maybe eventually learned in a research phase, but I may not have. Truthfully, I may not have learned those things in a research phase. I didn't learn it until we started taking action, until we started operating in the new space. So you've got to just, for yourself, put a limit on yourself, and then you start taking action. It can be hard to jump into taking action. The video I'm going to recommend that you go back and watch is the momentum versus motivation video, because that video is all about taking action. But the key here is one tiny little step. What is the first step that you can take into moving into action? And once you take that step into action, it's going to be easier to keep going. Viv, topic, how to keep continuity momentum or minimize discontinuity while working hybrid. Great question. And I did hybrid for a brief period of time. I guess that was Nope, that was not last summer. I have been working for myself for over a year. It was the summer before that, the summer of 2021. I briefly did the hybrid thing. So what I think you have to ask yourself what's important in terms of I'm assuming when you're talking about working hybrid, you mean like in person and virtual combination during the week. What is important to you that you keep consistent? Is it that you get up at the same time every day? And if that's the case, then that wake up time is likely going to be based on your days that you're in the office, right? So setting up your routines or your wake up time based on what is the routine that you want to have before you go into the office. Then on the days that you're working hybrid, getting up at the same time and then knowing what do you fill that space in that you typically would maybe get fully ready and commute in, right? What are you going to do with that space? How can you spend that time? And just getting really clear on that. If you don't want to worry about we're waking up at the same time every day, you don't have to. And just having two different routines, I would recommend having something that feels similar in the morning to keep that, like you said, kind of continuity. Know that consistency doesn't have to mean the same amount of time every day, right? So you might like to read in the mornings. And on days that you go into the office, you might read for 5 minutes because that's all you have time for without getting up at 3 a.m. So you read for 5 minutes in the mornings. And then on days that you're working from home, you get to read for 30 minutes. You're still consistently reading every morning. You're just reading for a different amount of time. Same thing applies to the back end of things. Is what does getting home look like? How can you fill in that time? How could you have a commute, in quotes, at home to kind of fill in that time at the end of it? I also think it's important to think about the middle, right? Taking breaks, taking a lunch break, whatever that looks like, taking other breaks during the day. And what I think there's no right answer in terms of what needs to be part of this continuity. It's what's important to you. And what do you like to have be the same every day? And then shaping that around your work schedule. Yeah. Brenda, separate bathrooms when living with a man. You know, my mom and my stepdad also have separate bathrooms, and she makes the joke that it's about him. It's actually, I am probably the messier one when it comes to the bathroom. I leave clothes on the floor. I leave makeup or brushes or whatever. So I think actually Sam is helpful. I think in my mind, it's just the bathrooms are so small. It's nice to not have to try and fit both of our stuff in all of the space in the bathroom. For me, for Sam, it's probably not to have to deal with my mess in the bathroom. Hello, Debbie. Have you guys cooked in your new kitchen yet? Sort of. We definitely have cooked breakfast. We've cooked eggs and stuff like that for breakfast. Last night, so the grocery store by us has these little Home Chef, the brand, the food delivery service Home Chef, but you can buy them at the store. And so they have a serving size of 2, and it's just like it would, all the ingredients are all separated, just like Home Chef and all the little things. But you buy it at the grocery store and you only have to buy the one. And so I went grocery shopping yesterday and bought that. And Sam actually is the one that cooked it while I was on the Patreon call. And then I had it afterwards. It was fantastic. So he actually has cooked an actual meal in the kitchen. We didn't fully get settled in the kitchen for 2 big reasons. One, we knew they were coming to paint. And so we knew we were going to have to take everything off of the counters and put everything in the middle of the room and all that jazz. The other big reason is we're waiting for, and I think I talked about this on a video once. Yeah, because I know somebody commented they did the same thing. We have, our kitchen technically has space for an eat-in kitchen. There's a big empty space where you could put a table. I don't feel like we need 2 tables. There's another separate dining space that we're going to put a dining room table that's attached to the living room. That's going to be bigger for when we have other people there. I don't feel the need to have 2 tables, one in the kitchen for the 2 of us. And because we had that in our old apartment, we never even used it. And then one in the living room. So what we're going to do instead, there's no pantry in this apartment at all. So I bought this big cabinet thing. It's it's called a kitchen pantry, but it's a big cabinet that's going to go against the wall where the eat-in kitchen would be. And that is where we have a lot more kitchen stuff to unpack that we don't have space for. And then pantry supplies to unpack and put there. So that's our kitchen doesn't feel settled at all. So that's why we haven't really cooked. I recommend a comfy chair or couch. Wayfair is a good place to look. Ashley, yeah, that's where I was looking, and I did find one that I like. Again, I'm just having a hard time with it's not an expensive piece, but like we're just buying so much furniture, and like a couch or chair in my office is just a very unnecessary purchase. So we'll see. Yes, Jennifer, this is also a good reminder about the conversation with the learning and action. There's no rule that says you can't start and then go back and do some learning and then kind of recircle thing. Viv, would it help to have a smaller desk workspace setup? Not smaller. That's not the word you typed. A similar desk workspace setup at work and at home, same comforts. That's a great suggestion. Yeah, that kind of continuity and workspace. Melanie, hello. I spent a lot of time breaking a project into smaller pieces. Now that I've completed the first step, I can see I need to adjust my steps. Frustrating. Any tips for staying motivated? Absolutely. And this is one of the reasons why, depending on the goal, I have said sometimes making this perfect plan of a goal, like breaking it down and making a perfect plan of steps and timelines and all that stuff can sometimes be a hindrance, because depending on what it is, we may not actually know what we want it to be or what we will need it to be once we start taking action. And so sometimes all we need is that first step to get started. Now, that said, if you spent the time, you can't get that time back. Okay, that time is gone. It is absolutely frustrating that you spent time breaking it down and making a plan, and like I always say, like, give yourself whatever short amount of time you need to be upset and like angry if you need it. But then it's like, okay, now what? Which clearly you've moved into the now what phase because you're asking this question. So that you have hopefully accepted, like, okay, that time is gone and now it's time to move on. So my first tip would be, don't plan much more than what the next step is, right? Because you already learned that when you make a huge long plan, it may not end up coming to fruition. So make what is the little next step, right? Break down just the next small piece of it, and then just keep taking action. I've said this 1,000,001 times. Motivation is never going to necessarily be the answer, because motivation is really hard to find and even harder to maintain. Momentum is going to be our key, and key. Wow, my brain, y'all. And momentum comes from action. And so what you need to do now is not spend a huge amount of time planning, and get as quickly as you possibly can, get back into action mode. And that's going to help you stay motivated, because you already did some action, right? You completed the first step, and that's so exciting. So now what's the second step? Don't worry about the entire project plan. What's step 2? Lisa Marie, welcome home. Thank you. I'm late to the party. Did you discuss the login issues with Teachable? I did not. Nobody asked about that. I think that the toggle that, wow, my brain is wrong. Chloe found on Teachable that I hadn't toggled on, that allows you to have Teachable be a part of your entire, like allows Goals with Laken to be a part of your entire Teachable account. I fixed that toggle. Now that that's on, there should not be any issues anymore with Teachable. I said this last night on the call. If you are still having some sort of issues, it is so much more helpful for you to come to me one-on-one, so I can actually look you up and like we can figure it out together. With one person, we found out that she had typed her email as Gmail instead of Gmail, right? And so that was an easy fix. We could get her situated and all that. So it's so much easier. Like I am doing my best to keep up with the text and all the Facebook group questions. But the Facebook ones are harder because there's just so many comments and so many people are giving feedback and advice. It is so much easier if you come to me and we look up your individual situation and figure it out together. So if you're still having issues, Lisa Marie, come to me and we will figure it out. Ariana, welcome to Chicago. Thank you. Yes, I am literally staring at Lake Michigan while we're chatting, y'all. It is beautiful. I can see Lincoln Park, I see Lakeshore Drive, I can see the lake. It's beautiful. Also, again, not my apartment. If you're just joining, mom's apartment, which should be really obvious because I wouldn't have my mom and stepdad's wedding photo up in my apartment. And my apartment's not anywhere near this decorated. Brenda, I love the idea of just planning the next small step, then taking action, then planning. Yep. I think it depends on the kind of person that you are, and it also depends on the goal, right? Some goals, you will know the action steps without, like, you don't, taking action isn't going to change the future action steps, but some goals, it will. And so it can be more beneficial to do it that way than to make an entire plan. Joe, do you have any tips for an all or nothing mindset that's really affecting the progress of my goals? So I have a whole video on all or nothing mindset that might be helpful for you to go back and rewatch. And I know y'all probably heard me say this before. Most of the time when you watch one of those videos, that video is probably at least a year old. You probably watched it with your current goals in mind. I would recommend rewatching it with your new goals in mind, right? Our lives change, our goals change, and the content, while you're like, well, I've already learned this, your brain processes it with a different, your different goals at the forefront. So that would be my first recommendation. The second thing to remember is that all or nothing is not realistic. It's not sustainable for literally anything. Every area of our on a spectrum, and you cannot function at the extremes. Like that is neither of the extremes is sustainable in the long run. And so I, first off, always want to, like, whatever goal it is that you feel like you're struggling with the most, right? What are the extremes? Think about them and think about where you are on the spectrum. Sometimes you're all the way close-ish to one. I always say you are probably not all the way at zero. You might think you're at zero, but you're probably not. Where are you? Where do you want to be? Where you want to be, also likely not the extreme, right? It might be a little bit in. You cannot jump from one end to the other. Like we do not have that ability. We are not that skilled. We cannot jump that far. We've got to crawl. We've got to take those tiny, tiny steps. It's the only way that we're going to get all the way there. So what is that small step that you can take to get yourself towards where you want to be on the spectrum? It is so hindering to fluctuate and do like 101 day and 0 the next day, 101 day, 0 the next day. If we're talking about momentum and we're talking about consistency, it is so much more beneficial. I have always said, I would rather you do something 5 minutes a day every day than an hour on the weekend, one day on the weekend. Yes, total time wise, right? 5 minutes a day is only 35 minutes. An hour is 60 minutes. I would rather you do it for less time, but more days, because that consistency is going to be beneficial. So I would also, Joe, for you specifically, pick one thing. Focus on one goal at a time. So what is the first goal that, you don't have to share this, but what is the first goal that comes to your mind that you're struggling with all or nothing? Ask yourself, what does all mean and what does nothing mean? And pick where you're at on the spectrum. What is one small improvement you can make on that, and start there. Jennifer, one of my annual goals is to establish a gratitude routine. I found the journal, but I'm struggling with when to write it. I haven't found a consistent time to write gratitude on. Do I write gratitude for the day before, for that day, any time frame? So that is totally up to you, right? There is no right answer. For me, I know that I'm a morning person. And so if I'm going to add anything to my daily routine, it's going to be in the morning. And so I write it for the day before in the morning. Sometimes I'm like, the day before was really boring and there's nothing I can think of. That's when I write one of the like things I'm always thankful for, right? Like my health, my husband, my family, Charlie, like one of those things. If you are more of an evening person, do it in the evenings. And if you feel like you have already captured that entire day, you could do that entire day. You could do the day before. You could just do something random. It doesn't necessarily have to line up so perfectly. Like if you want to do it in the afternoon, because that's what works best for you, or in the middle of the day. There was somebody I knew who had like a full-blown lunchtime, like what most people, or what I include in my morning routine, she was doing like in her lunchtime routine. And so she was doing gratitude, but for the prior day, but like during her lunch hour. It might take a little bit of trial and error for you to figure out what works best for you. And hopefully once you find that, it will click. But definitely there's no right answer. It's yours and A, B, C. It's not A because I've said a million things. You are not. Erase the last 10 seconds. You're allowed to change your mind. So if you start writing, let's say you start doing it in the morning for the day before and that doesn't work. And then you start doing it at night for the same day. You don't like that either. Then you start doing it at night for the day before and that works for you, right? Like try some things and you're allowed to change your mind whenever you want. It doesn't make the journal invalid. Linda, this is a good suggestion. When I don't have all the steps figured out, I make the last step, plan next steps so I can schedule that too. It's a great suggestion. Chatty kitty. Ariel, with my journaling, I like to add the time with the writing. So then I can see that it's not exactly capturing the whole day. It's a lot less pressure. That's a great suggestion for those of you doing it more in the evening. Amberly, do you guys have a big enough bedroom now for a bigger bed and 2 nightstands? I don't know how you guys did 1 nightstand. Yeah, 1 nightstand was definitely very frustrating. We do have space for both the bigger bed and a nightstand. Right now, we are just using a queen bed that we got from a family member. And I did order nightstands and they came in and we put them together. We both have big, giant, beautiful nightstands. And we do have space for a king bed that we will upgrade to someday. To the timing of that day is dependent on a lot of factors, including budgeting, but also like just us getting to pick one and then which one we pick, how long it takes to get there. I don't think it's as big of a priority. Sam disagrees and really wants a new bed and a king size bed. And so we'll see how long it takes us to get that king size bed. And then once we do that, we're going to move the queen bed that we have into the guest room. So, but we do have 2 nightstands. It is so nice. Luxuries that most bedrooms have that New York City sized bedrooms just don't. Yeah, it was definitely frustrating. We had 2 nightstands in our old apartment. It was just the new apartment that we lived in for the last 2 years that didn't have space for 2 nightstands. So only one of us got the nightstand. It just makes me laugh. But all right, I think I'm all caught up on questions. Anything else that is on your mind? What size bed did you have in New York? We had a queen size bed. Lisa Marie, we only had space for one. And like when I say one, or when Amberly says 1 nightstand, it was like a 12 by 12 inch square. Like it was a very tiny, tiny nightstand. And then our queen size bed, and then like barely room on the other side of the bed for the other person to like scoot by and get to bed. So yeah. If there wasn't 2 of us, like you could have a smaller bed in that room and it would be nicer, but it was cozy. A king size bed changed my life. Oh my goodness. Alexa, food you're excited to eat in Chicago. Not anything specific that comes to my mind. I know there's probably a lot of Chicagoans that are going to come at me. I know your food is great. There's a lot of great food here. There's a lot of great restaurants. It is not necessarily a priority right this second. There's a lot of places we do want to explore. We're going to a cool restaurant this weekend for our anniversary that we're excited about. But nothing specific is coming to my mind. Just like there's a lot of restaurants. Do we have an outdoor space? Could you have a little container garden? So we do have an outdoor space. We are on the 1st floor. So it is, and just the way that our apartment faces, the little outdoor space does not get a lot of good light. In fact, I don't really think it gets any light. It like just the way that the buildings are, and it has, there's an apartment above us, and like I am pretty sure that nothing would grow back there. I don't know. It is also, hopefully the management company will clean it because it is dirty and gross. But yeah, we did not necessarily pick this place for the outdoor space, as opposed to my mother, who very much picked her apartment as I look at her beautiful balcony for her outdoor space. So, any sneak previews on YouTube videos this month? What's coming down the pipeline? As always, I mean, if you kind of got the theme with January and February, there'll be one vlog. That's the one that went up earlier this week on the packing blog. There'll be one plan with me, and a favorites video. It's March, so favorites video. And then what's the 5th video? I don't know, Amanda, if you're still here. I honestly can't remember what it is. Oh, man. What is imposter syndrome? Debbie, that is when you do not feel like you're good enough to be doing whatever it is that you're doing, whether it's running a business or being a parent or being a spouse or at your job, like whatever it is that you're doing, you don't feel like you're good enough to be doing it. Any tips for working on a goal that brings a lot of sadness and grief while working on it? Mom's celebration of life booked for 6/11. I think this is one of those, it's going to be different for every person. That's the first thing that came to my mind, is that I can give you thoughts and tips and ideas, but I want you to keep in mind that what might work for somebody or me might not necessarily work for you, because grief looks so different for so many people. So I just want you to give yourself permission to do what you need to do and not necessarily feel like if these tips don't work for you that you're an absolute failure, because it's never the case, by the way, y'all. Like if the tips I give you don't work for you, it doesn't mean you're a failure. But this one in particular is definitely tough. Couple of things. One is schedule it loosely. So if you get to a point that it's scheduled for you to work on a certain day, but you're having a really great day and you don't it's not like you're not in the headspace to work on that because you're having a great day, and don't work on it. Like move it to a different day. Ask for help. Like I know that you are it sounds like at least you're taking on the bulk of this. Asking for help can be really helpful, especially for somebody who may not have as much of a connection to the grief at the same time. That can be really helpful. I remember when we were planning my Mima celebration of life, and Sam did a lot, like the day of setting up and getting everything ready, so my family didn't have to deal with that, The other thing is that if you absolutely have to do something, like if there is a long, if you can break it up into smaller steps, but if there's something that's going to take a long time and you got to schedule time to work on it, schedule something happy after. Schedule something that you can look forward to that will lift you up afterwards at the end. And I think just always remember, for this particular goal, there's a light at the end of the tunnel, right? You are going to plan it. It's going to happen. And then you can then process the grief as you need to. It doesn't mean that it's going to go away, but you can at least, this particular goal and you having to think about it on certain times, certain days, that will be done. So hopefully that's helpful. Is there a story behind your name? Does it have a meaning? Yeah, well, yes and no. I don't know what the meaning of it is, but it is from a soap opera that my mom watched in college. She has had my name picked out. She was in college. She loved the soap opera, loved the name, and kept it in the back of her mind. She was almost, to continue the story, almost talked out of it for it being too unique, for it being gender neutral, for it being just not mainstream. And then she had a really tough pregnancy and a really tough labor. And she was like, screw all of you. I am naming this child whatever I want to name her. And that is Laken. So yeah. Ooh, there are plenty of plants that need shade. You have to ask and do research. I used to work on an underground office and had 10 plants that were from deep in valleys and didn't need sunlight. Oh, thank you for sharing that, Ann. I'm gonna full disclosure, I'm not a big plant person. I have killed lots of plants in my life. So I appreciate Debbie asking that question. I don't know that gardening is necessarily in my future. The plant that I was gifted from Perico, if I totally butchered your shop name, I apologize. I will leave it linked. She sent me a plant maybe 2 years ago, and I have kept that baby alive, and it traveled all the way across the country in the car with us, and it has made it, and it is thriving. It has its new home. Well, it doesn't have its new home. It's sitting in the living room at a window because I need to put it on my desk now. And then my mom got me an orchid as a housewarming gift, and so I also have to find a home for that and keep that alive. So we'll see. if plants are in my future or not. Lisa Marie, your hair looks more red. It may be the lighting. You look fabulous. You are so sweet and complimentary. It's definitely the lighting. My hair is also very faded. Normally I dye my hair every 4 weeks. I think we're about to hit, because I dyed it right before the going away party. So I think we're about to hit 6 or 7. So it's very, like, my roots are bad. It's very faded, but I'm trying to push it a little bit because I don't really have anything going on. Like, besides y'all, nobody's seeing me, besides my family. And so I'm trying to push it a little bit to get closer to like my birthday, and like my birthday. And then we're going to Houston for Passover after that. So I'm trying to push it a little bit, but thank you. I appreciate it. I also really need a haircut, which is why it's back and like why I didn't do anything with it. Because I need to go do that. Amanda, this month's videos, favorites, plan with me. Oh yeah, long-term goals. That's the last video coming up this month. So many of you asked me about tips and thoughts on like long-term, like 2+ years, 3, 5, 10-year goals. That's what the video's about. Yay. Did you pack your Hatch alarm clock? Tina, I have, but I haven't plugged it in. It's just sitting on the nightstand right now. I have not been using an alarm clock because I've just been naturally getting up at like 6 or 6:30 every day this week. And then I knew we were going to have to push the nightstand to the middle of the room for the painters. So, but I did bring it. Yeah. Yes, Amanda, Laken Lockridge from Santa Barbara. That is who I'm named after. Also, if you have a window in the kitchen, having an indoor herb garden is awesome. I think same question applies here. I do have a kitchen window, which is really like cool to like sit at the sink, but it faces like the side of the building. Also doesn't get great sunlight, so I don't know how much sunlight herbs need, but they would not probably grow well there if they need sun. Because I even put my orchid there, and my mom was like, "No, it can't live there. That's not enough sunlight for this orchid." So. Yeah. Tip from Tina. When our bestie died 2 years ago, we scheduled the hard stuff and then had something silly and fun after. Yeah. I like that. It's tough. It's definitely tough. You can get a hydroponic herb garden that has artificial light. Oh, that's cool. I've never heard of that. Ashley, I'm named after a character from The Young and the Restless. Team soap operas unite. Yeah. Oh, it's so funny because I get like a lot of people will ask me like, is it a family name? Is it Scandinavian a lot? And I don't know why people ask that, but I'm like, no, it's from a soap opera that my mom watched. Yeah. So, awesome. I think I'm all caught up with questions. Any last minute questions or things that you feel like you need or are struggling with? We still have so many days left this month, y'all. So much time. Lots of props. We have, if you want to do an indoor herb garden, hydroponic gardening is awesome. I have arrow gardens, so I have fresh basil. I love all of this. I will say, like, me, gardening is not necessarily also at the top of my list. And also, if y'all have been around, you know I'm not a massive person who likes to be in the kitchen. I don't love cooking. I don't like to be in the kitchen. I cook out of necessity for budgeting and health reasons, not because I really enjoy cooking, but maybe it would make it more fun. I love everyone sharing what they were named after. There were so many named Debbies after Debbie Reynolds. I love it. I was named after a university that my mom saw on a sweater on The Cosby Show. That's cool, though. That's very cool. I like it. I like your name. What is your consistency challenge? So if you don't know what Emily's talking about, we're doing a consistency challenge inside the community this month. I was going to, or it is / was my AM routine, but we're on the 8th and I haven't even started it. I haven't even hooked up the printer to print it out. So, but that's okay. That's my plan. So I probably will get it printed out. I mean, at this point, it's Wednesday. I'm going to be totally honest. I'm probably going to start it on Monday. It's probably my plan. I was named after a country song. Oh, that's funny, Amanda. Amanda is what my grandmother wanted my mom to name me instead of Laken, which there are so many Amandas. Sorry, Amanda. You're named after the Little Mermaid, Ariel. I love that. I was supposed to be Andrew. Oh my gosh. That's hilarious. This is so funny. My name is Wendy Gale. My mom said she named me after her stormy romance. Oh my God. That is so fun. Oh my God. My parents heard a boy named Jordan and said my name would be Jordan Beck Wagner, whether I was a boy or a girl. My boy name was going to be Austin. Austin Wayne. Can you get much more Southern than that? I'm named after my mother's grandma, but then I took my nickname from a book and now I have legally changed it. So I have both. Aki, that is so cool. That is super cool. Lisa Marie, I am not named after Elvis's daughter. Oh, interesting. I was going to be Jack Sawyer and my cousin born around the same time would be Tom Sawyer. Oh, no. Your parents would not. That's not okay. Oh my gosh. I was named after the song Aubrey from the band Bread. I do not know that band. I like the name Aubrey though. I think that's pretty. Oh my gosh, I totally forgot about this till someone else, but my boy name, Samantha, did you mean to type Lake or did you mean to type Laken? I have actually never heard of a boy named Laken, but the amount of Mr. Edwards that I got via email when I worked in corporate was unreal. But I've actually never heard of someone with that name. Song for name, I Will Take You Home Again, Kathleen. Oh my gosh. That's fun. That is so fun. On the topic of baby names, do you and Sam have any baby name favorites for when the day comes? We do. So if you don't know, Sam is Jewish, and the Jewish heritage that he comes from, you name children after deceased relatives, and he made it clear very early on that was very important to him. And so we brainstormed baby names years ago. So we do have names ready to go for when that day comes. Yeah, we're ready. I wanted a gender neutral name that was possible to pronounce in English. I like that. There's a couple I follow right now on Instagram that they're doing IVF right now, and they Norway maybe is where they live. And they are trying to figure out the same thing. They're trying to find like a gender neutral name that can be pronounced in English. My mom always loved the name Emily, and so she added her middle name Lee to my spelling. Oh, that's cool. Oh, actually Lake and not Laken. Oh my gosh. Lake? I guess that is a name. I've never heard of it. But to each their own. Everyone does name their kids whatever they want. My only claim is that it had to be a Cain name. My mom and her two brothers all named their kids with Cain names. There are 7 of us. Oh my gosh. That's a lot, Crystal. Oh, your son's best friend is named Laken. He's a boy. Well, that is the first boy Laken I've ever heard of, Melissa. So thank you for sharing. I definitely think it can be a gender neutral name. I just have never known any. Like the only other Lakens that I've ever even heard of in my life, I've only ever met one in person, but the only other Lakens I've ever heard of have all been girls. And so until now. According to Google, Laken is both a boy and a girl name. Yeah. I feel like according to Google, every name is a boy and a girl name, probably. This was a fun little aside topic, talking about where our names came from and all these like miscellaneous. I'm learning so much about all of you. Yeah, I'm so glad I'm a girl, but now I just have a common boring name. It's not. Samantha is a beautiful name. My Swedish name is impossible in English. My kids also got names that work international. That was very thoughtful of you. Baby names are so hard. Yep. When the day comes for us, we need something that can be pronounced in England and German. Germany doesn't allow gender neutral names. Every name can be gender neutral, in my opinion. That is very bizarre to me. that they don't allow it. What? Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. My mom was a phone operator and someone asked for Kelia. Am I pronouncing that right? Why did I feel like in my head I had it different. But Sheila with a K. Keila. That is beautiful. I love unique names. I think my name is very cool. I love unique names. One more thing, Amanda. Your Googling is making me laugh. There's an entire website called Soap Opera Baby Names, and Laken is there. It is a soap opera baby name. Naming with the same letter was a really big thing in the 70s. My stepmom did that with all my brothers, like after me. Colton, Caden, and Colin are my half brothers on my dad's side. But none of my other parents did that. That's so funny. I wanted to name my son Casimir. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. I think that's a really cool name, but he ended up Jason. It was the most popular baby's name when he was born, and he likes it. Then that's all that matters. Oh my gosh, I was told by a post office official in Germany that you have an illegal name. What? That is mind-blowing, Jordan. Mind-blowing to me. All right, y'all. We are almost out of time. As much as I could sit here and talk about names with you all for the rest of today, I am going to ask you my last question, which is, what is one thing you will do to make progress on your goals? What is one small step that you're going to take over the next 7 days to make progress on your goals? It doesn't have to be huge. All the small steps add up. You know that. I say it all the time, but I want you to share with us. If you're here live, I would love for you to share in the chat and I'll read some of them out. And if you're here watching the replay, I want you to let us know in the comments. What is the one thing you're going to do this week to make progress on your goals? I'm still over here mind blown that Germany won't let you have a gender neutral name. But so, Jordan, do you have an illegal name because Jordan is gender neutral, so nobody can be named Jordan? Or have they identified Jordan as a male name in Germany? That's what I want to know. Joanna made it to the very end, but my one small thing is I'm about to go swimming. Oh, that is so fun. I love that. Keep setting for your test. Continue with your consistency challenge, even if it's just your low energy option. I love that. Finish your paper for your uni course. Taking your insurance license test next Wednesday. Good luck. Cook dinner tonight. I love that. Tracking one meal a day, as suggested in the call last night. Yay for that small step, Crystal. Focus on your bedtime. My sleep goal is suffering, and so am I. Sleep has such a big impact on so many areas of your life. So love that you're prioritizing that. I love hearing all of your small steps and how different everybody's goals are. Closing your budget for February. We need to do that too, although I just might write off February as I'm not worrying about it. Read every day, even if it's just for a few minutes. Make plans with a gym buddy for extra accountability. I love that, Wendy. So many different small steps. Honey, I feel like my computer is slightly delayed, and I feel like they'll pop up in a second. So in Germany, Jordan is more of a male name, but it isn't actually a name used in Germany at all. Beck, my middle name, is considered gender neutral. Okay, interesting. Get all your tax documents together for your German and US taxes. Oh, I feel that. All of the tax stuff. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. If you wouldn't mind giving this video a thumbs up before you head out, I would greatly appreciate it. And I will see you same time, same place next week. Likely a different background. I don't think I'll be at my mom's next week. Hopefully I'll be back in my own office, although the background might be way less exciting next week. Thank you all for hanging out with me today. Have a good day, week, weekend, all of the above.